Hello. How's everybody doing today? Brother John Stewart on behalf of Lost Sheep Ministries, here to take y'all on another little walk with the Word today. So today, get the exciting conclusion of Ecclesiastes. We're going to finish up book 11 and 12 today as I'm bringing the lesson out of book 11 and 12. Got four more thoughts, four more verses that I'm going to go through, four last thoughts from Solomon as we conclude this negative Nancean chapter that we've been through, this negative Nancean book that we've been through. But he actually ends it in a pretty good way, and y'all going to see what I'm talking about as I jump into this. So our first point tonight is going to come from Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1. And he says this, the Lord tells us this, he says, "Cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. Give a portion to 7, and also to 8, for thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth." Man, considering all the negative Nanceing he's been doing throughout this book, this is actually kind of refreshing. Like I said, he's going to end the book on a positive note, thank God. You know what I'm saying? But with this verse here, what he's doing, he's sharing with us the wisdom of the significance of sharing with your fellow man and the less unfortunate. Now, of course, you don't want to be an enabler. If you see somebody doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, like maybe they have a drug or problem or alcohol problem, of course you don't want to enable them. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to help them in their bad habits, especially if they're running from the Lord. Because think about it. The prodigal son, he didn't come to himself and turn back to his father until he was completely at rock bottom. You see what I'm saying? And he might not have never done so. He might have not have never came to himself had somebody just give him some money to help him out. So you definitely don't want to mess with the humbling process, because that's what he was going through, a humbling process. But when you see a brother or sister that's just down on their luck due to some unforeseen circumstances, then you want to do everything you can to help them out, even if it's a small amount, because when you have nothing, every little bit helps. You know what I'm saying? And you talking, this is coming from somebody that at some point in his life had nothing. I can't tell you how many times when I was younger and had no money or food to eat because my folks spent it all on drugs. And somebody just came through and just threw me like $5, man. It was like the biggest blessing ever to me because I got to eat that day. You know what I'm saying? So that's why every time I see a homeless person or I see somebody with a sign, I try to get him at least $5. And I don't even have money like that. But I know what a blessing it could possibly be, and I know the Lord will bless me for it. You know what I'm saying? And for those of y'all that might say, well, what about those that have the signs, but they are not homeless? They just too lazy to get a job. I say that's on them. You know what I'm saying? If they lying, that's on them. The sign says I need money for food, so I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to give them money for food. And I'm going to let the Lord deal with them for lying to one of his saints if that's what they're doing. So, you know what I'm saying? So don't let these, oh, well, they're just trying to get over. And no, have empathy for those people. Because just like the verse says, you never know. You might be one bad decision away from being in the exact same spot they is, and you have to beg. And when you want somebody to help you and you in that position, so have empathy for them, because you never know, you could be in the same spot they is, and you're going to need their help for yourself. Number 2, it's going to come from chapter 11, verse 6. And it says this. It says, "In the morning, sow thy seed, and in the evening, withhold not thy hand. For thou knowest not whether shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good." Man, that's another good solid piece of advice right there. That's another good solid piece. Because what he's saying is this: get busy. Get busy to doing something. You know what I'm saying? I've never understood how people can be so miserable or unhappy with where they are in life, and yet they're not doing anything to try to improve their situation. You see what I'm saying? Because if you truly trying to be successful, you should always be doing something, and all kinds of different somethings. And that's what he's saying, is that so many different seeds, be doing different kind of something. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do that, not only will it increase your chances of being successful, it'll also keep you out of trouble. Because you know what they say, idle hands is the devil's playground. You see what I'm saying? And if you think about it, I bet majority of the times that you've been in trouble is because you was bored, because you had way too much time in your hands. You was bored someday, and you like, you know what, let's go do something for fun. You know what I'm saying? I got to do this for fun. And you went out and you did something for fun, and it was something you weren't supposed to be doing, and then you end up getting caught up. You see what I'm saying? That's what happens when you're not busy. So get busy to doing stuff, and not just anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about just anything like playing video games. Well, I'm just playing video game all day. That's something. No, I'm not saying do just anything or any something. I'm talking about being productive with your time, by filling it with things that could possibly elevate you or remove you from your situation. Because when I look back on my own life, I can tell that the wisdom of God has always been on me, because even before I read this, I lived by that concept. I didn't realize I was doing it. I ain't saying like, oh, I was so spiritual. No, I didn't realize I was doing it, but I did live by that concept. That's actually how I made it out of Memphis. I stayed busy. You know what I'm saying? When I was little, I was so busy that I didn't have time to get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I love school, which is weird, especially for my neighborhood. Most people in my neighborhood, they didn't like school, but I love school, so I really focused on my education. You know, I played football, I played basketball, I ran track, and yes, I ran track. Don't be looking at me like that. I ran track, and I wrestled all while working. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew that if I did enough, something was going to come through for me. Something was going to break through, and that's exactly what happened. And it turns out my education, my work ethic, and my ability to play football is what got me out of Memphis. So then I went to college. And when I got to college, did the same concept. You know what I'm saying? I studied chemistry, focused on my chemistry work. I worked. I played a little football. I ain't played as much football. And I sold a little drugs, too. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, I was like, one of them is going to get me out of there. One of them going to get me out of there. Did a little bit of rapping. And what it was my focus on my chemistry that got me to the next level. So now I'm at the next level. Now I'm a father, a husband, a chemist, environmental specialist, a pastor. I preach on Facebook. I preach in the jails. I preach in the projects. I rap. You know what I'm saying? I do YouTube, and I do these TikToks every day. Because, again, same mindset. Eventually, one of these gonna pop. Eventually, one of y'all niggas gonna share something, and I get to go viral, and I can get out of this work and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But even if I don't, I'm gonna still doing it, because I know one of them is gonna pop. Because I'm keeping on sowing seed. You see what I'm saying? So one of them might pop, but guess what? Just like the verse said, all of them might pop. You never know. So keep busy sowing, because when you do, you know what I'm saying, you never know which crop you're gonna get to reap. So make sure you sow plenty of crop, so you'll have plenty of options. And then number 3 says this, and it's going to be from chapter 11, verse 19. It says, rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things God will bring thee unto judgment. Ooh, another good piece of advice right there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm glad he got better toward the end. He got a little bit better toward the end, and he wasn't such a negative Nancy. But you know what I'm saying? That's another great piece of advice, because, you know, our young people today, they have this mindset of YOLO. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, you only live once. And that's true. You do only live once. But, man, our young people today, they be doing the most. You're doing too much. You partying to the point where you're killing yourself. All these folks ODing and things of that nature, and the violence, they just doing too much. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. He's saying, look, enjoy yourself. Enjoy the ignorance of your youth, but do it in moderation. You don't have to party hard and crash out every single time. You see what I'm saying? No, I'm not saying don't have fun while you're young, because that's the time to do it. Because, you know what I'm saying, you only got a few years to dwell in the ignorance of your youth, and then you hit adulthood. And I'm going to tell you something. Adulthood is the worst hood you ever going to live in. It's horrible. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to have that fun, but at the same time, you don't want to have too much fun. You see what I'm saying? So while you having fun, have your fun, but while you have your fun, just be conscientious that even though you're young and you're doing these things, you're still going to have to answer to God for those things someday. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you're conscientious of that. Because I know our government, they don't really hold you accountable for stuff until you're 18, but God don't work like that. The moment you are aware that you shouldn't do it, then guess what? That's the moment that you are going to be held accountable for it in the eyes of God. And then number 4, the exciting conclusion to the book of Ecclesiastes, and that's going to come from chapter 12, verse 13. It says, let us hear the concession of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That's it right there, y'all. He did all that whining and complaining and being negative just to say, serve God. You know what I'm saying? Just to give us the answer to life that everybody wants to know. What's the purpose of the life? And that's what the purpose of life is, to serve God. Because basically he said, man, I've done everything. I've had everything. I know everything. And none of that matters. The only thing matters is God. So no matter how rich you get, no matter how drunk you get, no matter how high you get, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you get elevated in the eyes of man, none of it matters if it's not for the glory of God. Only one life that live will soon be past. Only what's done for God will last. And that has been your little walk with the word for the day. Peace.